Hello guys. So I got a request from my subscriber and he asked me to remake my old tutorial. Uh, we talk about the environmental storytelling in a game called What Remains of Edith Finch. So once the character reaches specific destination or like specific props, the wall of text appear in front of him and each letter inside this text has its own animation. So I made the similar tutorial 4 years ago and now it's the new and advanced version of it. So first of all we're gonna start with the structure for this feature. And to make it work we need to have in my version two enumerations. To make one, press right mouse button, select blueprint and then go to the enumeration. The first one is called inf story state and we have two fields. The first one called once, the second one called multiple. So it means that for different purposes we can visit the vista or like the place to read the text maybe once or maybe multiple times. The other one is called inf story anim type, and here we define the let's call it the list of animations that we need to select for each vista on a level. So but not on a level, because the feature is more complex than it used to be, and I'm going to talk about this in a while. So it's just the type of animation that we can apply to our text. Next one, we need to make two structures. And the reason is kind of simple. We need to define the unique behavior for each vista act that we have on a scene. So the first structure is called story anim data. The other one is story data. So similar as we did with the enumeration, with the right mouse button on the content browser, select blueprint and then at the bottom we can see structure. So the first structure contains of 4 different variables. The first one is animation and the reference is the enumeration that we made recently. Next we have two booleans, the reverse and shuffle. They define the behavior of each animation and delay between letters to make this pretty much interesting effect of the typewriter. And the other one, here we have 5 different variables, text, and I choose this type of data because it can be localized. Next one is slate font and slate color to define the font and the color of it. I tried to work with the rich text data table, but the structure that we have there simply cannot be exposed correctly to the blueprint. And we also have references to our story anim data structure. This one, the first one is for the animation start and the second one is for the animation finish. The system is based on the widget that we're gonna render in the 3D space. So for this we need to have the shader logic arranged in specific, let's call it behavior. So first of all we need to make the param2d, and for this with the right mouse button we need to look for the texture param2d. Texture sample parameter 2d. The name should be slate UI because otherwise it simply won't render correctly, because this one I guess is hard-coded in the engine. I also choose to make it custom because I need to have the blend mode set to be translucent to have the better transition for the transparency. By default this material is masked and it's also one-sided. I choose to select two-sided because for me it's just better visual. So here the RGB goes to the emissive color and the alpha goes to the opacity. Here on the left you may see that blend mode is translucent, shading model is unlit and it's two-sided. I also made the material instance and use this as a reference, because maybe if I want to add some extra logic here, I can make different materials applied for different behaviors. One more thing I forgot to tell, and it's very important. So back to our shader, here on the left you may see that I have a flag on the output depth and velocity. As our material is translucent, if we don't have this sort of flag checked, you may see that once we move towards our vista and we start maybe rotate, maybe run around it, it will have sort of ghost and shimmer effect that looks kinda ugly. Like this. The text isn't clear enough and it looks bad. But once we apply it, you may see that everything will look much better. Like this. So, we need to make 3 more elements. 1 blueprint actor and 2 widget blueprints. This one, blueprint actor, stands for our vista, an actor that we need to place in the level. Widgets, the first one is our grid, and you might guess it right. The second one is a sign or a letter that we're gonna be appending to this grid. I guess we should start with the widgets first, with the hierarchy of elements inside each of them, and then complete everything with the logic. So for our grid, here we need to have the wrap box. It should be set as variable, and we also need to select the flag called explicit wrap size. The reason why I chose wrap box is kind of simple. So at first, once I rewatched my old tutorial, I didn't notice one little flaw in my approach. I used to work with the uniform grid, and that means that for each element inside the grid, the space between each element will be the same, and if we have different fonts, the symbol doesn't look right. But the wrap box, and if we make the custom wrapper, can eliminate this issue by forcing the new line, and that's all. For the second widget, here we have the border, which contains of one child, and it's a simple text. So both of them are selected as variable, and for my border here I have a checkbox for the size to content. And with the help of this little trick, this one will actually eliminate the spacing between each element inside our grid. Now, in our nth story, the grid widget, let's open up the graph, not a designer, and let's make some variables. So we have the wrap box. We also need to have the wrap box slot, and the type is wrap box slot type. The word, it's the wrap box slot type, but it's array. We also need to have a story owner, and it's the reference to our blueprint actor in story. Also we have story, and it's the struct that we also made in story data. Sign, the type of string, sign widget, and it's going to be the reference to our widget, this one with the letters. The same variable, but it's the array, shuffled. So if you remember, in our struct we had the boolean, and we're gonna use this one as the original array and this one as the shuffled for different behaviors. And we need to have 2 more integers, so the sign count and story count. First one, we're gonna count how many signs we have in a line, and other one we need to count how many type of different texts or different stories we have in one iteration, because if you saw the demo at the beginning of the video, you might see that one actor can tell different stories, or you may think of the chapters. And for our story sign, here we need to have also story, and the reference is to our story data. but make sure that this variable is set to be instance editable and expose on spawn. Sign, same, editable and expose on spawn. It's a simple string. We also need to have the boolean finish anim. Next, anim data to play. It's the reference to the structure, story anim data, main animation, and it's the widget animation type. And that's it. Text sign and border sign holder. It's the elements that we have here in our hierarchy. Now let's move on to our blueprints. Make things here and then continue with our widgets. Here on the left you may see that I have widget added as a component, which looks just like this. And here on the right you may see that the rotation of this widget is 180. The material is the reference to my custom one that I made in the beginning of this video. Also, it has no collision at all, and the blend mode set to be transparent. Also, here it's the world space, and the widget class is the reference to the grid widget that we made just a few minutes ago. And I guess that's all that we need to change here. I also have the text renderer. It's just a sprite for me to better see the actor on the scene, like this. So the rotation is also 180 and location is a little bit higher than other things. Also we have the box collision, and it's the last element that we need to add as the component. So here the box extent is 100 units. On the construction script, here we have a little bit logic, but before this, here on the left we need to define few more things. So we need to make variables. So the first one is the vector, and it's called trigger dimensions, and we're gonna change the relative scale of our trigger area based on the values we have here. Also make sure that all those elements that you see here, they are editable, so you can change them on the scene for each instance of this actor. We also have the offset for our story, so it's the offset for our widget where it should apply in a level. It's also vector. The rotation of our widget. State is the enumeration for our story type. Boolean visited, it means that based on the state we should check whether we can visit this vista once or multiple times. The widget size, it's the vector 2 to define the bounds of the widget. Story to tell, it's the structure in story, but make sure it's array, so we can make different chapters, so not only one sentence but multiple of them appeared in a particular order. And the global delay before cleaning, it means that if we have several stories, several chapters, it's the delay between each of these stories. Now, construction script. So we need to set relative scale for our trigger area based on the size of it, based on this vector. We also need to set relative location and rotation for our widget, and to change the bounds of our widget, we have a function called setDrawSize. So on the begin play, we need first of all to make our widget invisible. And on the trigger area, here at the bottom, we can override the event, and we need this one on overlap. Here I check whether my actor, this trigger area, is overlapping my character. If so, and if this actor hasn't been visited yet, if it's so, I check it as visited, and then I show my widget, so I set the visibility to true. Now, to the main grid, here we need to create the, I guess it's the custom event. Yep, I don't have any functions, so here we need to make the custom event with little input of the story owner. It's the reference to our actor and story. So we make it here, we compile everything. So get our widget. From this, we need to get user widget object and cast to our story. As we know that our widget is set here in the details, this one, the cast should always be successful, so we don't need to have the default cast, but we can go with the pure cast. And with this we can simple call a function that we just made, update story, and that's how we don't need to have any interface. And as we need to provide the reference to the story owner, it's gonna be self. And the last part of this blueprint is the function called finish story. So once we're done interacting with our widget and this whole story has been shown on our screen, we need to restore the visibility to false, so we need to hide the widget. And based on the state of our actor, if it's once, we don't need to do anything, but if it's multiple, it's said that we can visit this vista several times. We need to return the boolean visited to false. So it means that then, if we interact with our trigger area one more time, this condition will return true and we can do everything one more time, and so on. So now I think we need to maybe start with the end of story sign, because it contains little logic, and I guess we need to leave the most heavy part to the end of this video. It might be the right decision. So on the construct of our sign, we need to set color and the font for our text. So for this, as you know, we have story and the sign exposed. So this story, we need to break the structure. Here you may see that I only need to expose the color, and I set color and opacity to my widget. Same goes with the font. Also we need to set the text for our sign. So as this one is string, we simply need to convert it to the text and assign it with the set text. Also, here you may see that the border, it's the parent for our text element. We set the opacity to 0, and we have the reason for this behavior, as here in the main grid, first of all, we need to build up, we have one iteration, we build up the whole structure and we have sort of the wrapper, so we have all the words in necessary places. And on the second iteration, once this one is complete, we have another loop where we need to animate the signs. So until this, the default visibility of the whole widget should be 0. I used render opacity of this element because I need to animate it next in the graph. And this custom event that we talked about earlier, so here, based on the finish anim condition, we break also using the story structure. we use select between whether it's the start of animation or animation of the finish state. We store it as the reference anim data to play. That we're gonna use right up here and right up here. And for this structure we also need to break it, and based on the animation enumeration we use select and store it as the main animation. So those are the widget animation that we're gonna create right in a minute. So as you know, from this enumeration we already have three different so-called animation behaviors. So pop-up, slide and fly. How many of them you're gonna make, it's up to you to decide. Then we have a sequence. So I have a little trick behavior here. So the first we need to update the opacity of our widget, of our sign. So we have the general reveal animation, and we play it also based on the condition forward or backward. So it means it should reveal or disappear. And then we play the main animation, the main effect on the sign, also based on the, like, if it's reverse or not reverse, we're gonna play it forward or backwards. Based on this condition, as we stored to the global variable, we play this animation, and that's actually it. Now we need to go back to designer, and here if we select the just animations, you may see that I have 4 of them. So I'm gonna zoom in and show you the first one. It's the generic reveal. So you may see that I have the border as the reference to the widgets I'm gonna work with, and I set 2 different points. So at the beginning the render opacity is 0, and at the end of animation it's gonna be 1. All animations here, like the general and all others, they kind of share the same length of animation. So it guarantees us that the behavior will be uniform. So that's how my reveal animation works. My pop-up animation. So basically I change the scale 3 times. Like it starts from the 0.25 up to the 1 and 5 and back to 0.9. The slide. So we start with a different translation on the x-axis and have kind of shift and backwards. And the fly we change the translation and rotation, just like this. And the last part is to build up the wall of text and animate the letters. So back to the grid widget. Here we need to build up the function update story. So we store the story owner as the global variable, so we can use it further in the code. And right after this, as you can see from the sequence, from story owner we can get the widget size that we defined earlier in our main blueprint, this one. And based on the width of it, we can set the bounds of the wrap box. Right after this, we need to get the story to tell, and by using the story count and the default value is 0, we need to extract the first entry of this array. So we also store it as the global variable, and from it we can break down the structure. We use text, and here you can see the internal function called get character array from string. So then we can separate each sign and iterate over it. We store it as the global variable called sign, and then we have a sequence. So for each letter we need to create the widget that I was talking about earlier, this one, this guy. and we're gonna add it to our original array, so we can then use it to iterate over each entry of this array and animate each sign. Next, we need to add our sign widget to the wrap box and store as the wrap box slot. Now we need to start counting how many letters we have in our line. So for this we accumulate the sign count. Next we need to check the following condition: if the sign from our sign widget doesn't contain the space. Because if it's so, we need to build up the words using our word array. If it's not, we need to clear it. Next comes the following condition. So we check whether we have exceeded the size of our wrap box. So for this, we need to extract the size from our font and multiply by the number of the letters we have printed, and check whether this value doesn't is lower than our wrap size. So if it's so, next comes another condition which looks similar to the previous one. If our sign from our sign widget doesn't equal space. If it's so, it means that the word is in between the bound of our widget size. So it looks like this. We have our size, let's say 400 units, and the line of our text can be, let's say, 420, and the word can be built up in the middle of the bounds, like here we have A, B, C. So it means that we need to get the whole word and transfer it to the new line, like this. But if it's a simple space, the logic will be kind of similar, but a little bit different. So if we are in the middle of the word, we need to get the first entry of the word array and force the new line. Then we need to start the sign count from the length of the word. So if the word consists, let's say, of the 4 signs, the sign count should start for the new line from the 4, and so on. But if it's simple space, we need to do the same, but we don't need to get the entry from the word, but the current box slot, and start the new line with the sign of 1, because it takes space. And then we need to clear the word array also. And once the first iteration comes to an end, it means that we have built our text wall and we have wrapped everything together. Now it's time to animate it. Before animating anything, we need to build up the shuffle array. So just in case if we want to have the animation happening not in direct order but with some randomness. So for this, first of all, we need to store the sign widget shuffle list, and we use the reference of our original array, and then we need to shuffle the shuffled array. Right after this, here you may see that we have it's my custom macro, and I have a separate tutorial on how to build this for each loop with delay and break, and I'm gonna leave the link to this tutorial under this video, so you may check it. And I'm just gonna quickly show what it looks like. And the main thing is that this macro is built up for the UMG kind of blueprint, because some macro can be built for the general blueprints and some only for the UMG blueprints. So it looks like this. So it's like the same for each loop with break, but at the end here you may see that we have the delay task. I'm gonna leave this just for you so you can pause the video and like copy paste everything to replicate everything. Hopefully it won't be hard for you. Only make sure that this kind of global macro library is set for the parent of the widget, but not for the blueprint or an actor. So this is the starting or opening animation. So first we need to check whether our starting animation should be shuffled. So for this, from story, we need to break structure of the story data, and then we need to break the structure of the anim data anim to start. Based on the return value of the boolean, we need to select whether we go with the shuffle array or with the original one. So then we can iterate using the for each loop with delay. Also, make sure that structure that you break here using the anim to start attribute here and here. Now, for each element and the return value of the array is our sign, we need to call the custom event playAnim that we made up several minutes ago here. Make sure to provide the proper value of the state. And on complete, we need to wait for some period until we need to clear up the whole wall of text. So for this, we get the setTimer by function name, and I have the custom function called finish story right up here. So as this event gonna be fired only once, we don't need to clear anything, and we also don't need to store any timer handler. Make sure that from story owner we get the delay before cleaning. It's the global attribute that we made up here in this guy. So finish story is the last part of the tutorial. It's the finishing state of our animation. It looks similar to the previous state for the opening or the start of animation, but we use different structures. So here from story we need to get the anim to finish, and as you can see, based on the value of shuffle, we need to know whether our finish animation should be shuffled or not. So here we select between our original and the shuffled arrays. So next we need to iterate with the for each loop with delay, and we need to provide the proper state for the playAnim function for each sign that we need to animate. On complete, we need to clear the widget list original array and clear the wrap box, because otherwise, if we have multiple stories, they won't look right. So let me demonstrate the default behavior. We have one story, and the next one should appear on the same place, just like this. But if you don't clear the wrap box, the next story will be messed. Like this one. So we also need to bring back the sign count to 0 and increase the story count. Then we check whether the story to tell, the last index, is lower than the story count. So if it's so, it means that we need to finish the story. It's the function that we call from our blueprint, this one. So we hide our widget and we bring the story count back to 0. But if it's not, then we need to continue with our story and proceed with our cycle. So here we have the custom event which will execute the whole graph one more time, and it will continue up until this condition returns true. So once you've done this, you've done everything. So all you need is just place the Vista actor on your scene like this, and you need to adjust settings. So here you may see that we have story location, story rotation, state, once or multiple, the size of the widget. We also have delay before cleaning and the story to tell array. So how it looks? You can expand everything. Here you need to provide the text, the font data, the color, and you can break up the animation structure, provide the animation type, whether it's reversed or shuffled, and delay between the sign for the start and finish states. And if you want to proceed with the story, you can place another one, like as this one is array. So you can press add element and add more stories. We have another text. You can use even another font. Yep, another size of it, the color, and produce another animations. So guys, that's it. We made it, and hopefully it was useful for you. Now you can try to build your own automatic edit finish. You can place as many vistas on your level as you want to provide the environmental storytelling for each element, for the props, for characters, for the roots in your game, and so on, with their own unique behaviors, just by using this Vista actor. So I hope you like it, and as always, please subscribe to my channel, leave your feedback, press like button, and leave your comment. You can also share it with your friends, and it will help my channel a lot. And in case if you want to support me monetarily, I do have Patreon page, and I'm gonna place the sample project of this feature also there. So the link is under this video, and I guess until next time,